My life was built on hard work and absolute loyalty. For 12 years, I was the chief technology officer at a high-end software company in Austin, Texas. I built the entire core infrastructure from scratch. I married my college sweetheart, Victoria, and for 10 years, I thought we were building an empire together. The company was about to be acquired by a massive tech conglomerate for $350 million. My share of the acquisition was going to be close to 40 million. Life was perfect until the annual corporate gala.
I left the gala early because I had a brutal migraine. Victoria said she wanted to stay behind to network with the board members, specifically our billionaire CEO, Charles. Charles was a ruthless, arrogant, trust fund billionaire who inherited the company. I trusted my wife completely, so I took an Uber home. 2 hours later, I realized I left my corporate laptop and my medication in Charles's private executive suite at the hotel. I drove back, used my master key card to enter the executive floor, and walked down the hallway. As I approached Charles's suite, I saw the door was slightly ajar. I heard laughing, cold, mocking laughing. It was Victoria and Charles. I looked through the gap. They were sitting on the couch drinking champagne. Victoria was holding a copy of our prenuptial agreement. She looked at Charles and said, "As soon as the acquisition goes through next month, I'm filing for divorce. With the lifestyle inflation clause we signed, I'll get half of his 40 million. He's so blind, he has no idea we've been together for 2 years." Charles laughed, kissed her, and said, "The funny part is, after the acquisition, I'm firing him anyway to save on corporate payouts. He's worthless to us now." My blood turned to ice. I didn't storm in. I didn't break things. If you react with anger, you lose. If you react with strategy, you win. I took out my phone, recorded their entire conversation through the door crack for 4 minutes, including the explicit details of their plan, and quietly walked out. The next morning, I smiled at Victoria over coffee. I kissed her goodbye and went to work, but mentally I was already at war. I contacted the top forensic divorce attorney in Texas. I paid him a $10,000 retainer in cash so it wouldn't show up on our joint bank accounts. I showed him the video. He looked at me and said, "This is gold. But if you want to completely destroy them, we need to wait until the acquisition audit begins." The acquisition audit was scheduled for the following week. The buying company was inspecting our entire software infrastructure. This was my leverage. You see, Charles didn't understand technology. He didn't know that the entire core database ran on a proprietary encryption code that I personally owned and copyrighted before I even joined the company. The company had been using my personal intellectual property for a decade under a verbal agreement. I quietly transferred all corporate administrative privileges to an offshore, encrypted server in Switzerland. I created a digital kill switch. If I pressed one button, the entire software infrastructure of the company would instantly lock down, rendering the product completely useless to the buyers. Next, I went into Charles's corporate email database, since I had master admin access, and downloaded every single email between him and Victoria. It turned out they weren't just sleeping together. Charles had been using company funds to buy Victoria luxury apartments and offshore gifts, which constitutes corporate embezzlement. The day of the final acquisition signing arrived. The board of directors, the billionaire buyers, Charles, and our legal teams were all gathered in the main glass conference room on the 40th floor. I was asked to attend to give the final technical approval. Victoria was also there, sitting in the lobby, waiting to celebrate with Charles. Just before Charles could put his pen to the contract, I stood up. I plugged my laptop into the massive presentation screen in the wall. Charles frowned and said, "What are you doing? We are signing the papers." I looked at the head of the buying conglomerate and said, "Before you buy this company for $350 million, you need to see the real corporate assets." I pressed play. The video of Charles and Victoria plotting to steal my money and fraud, the company blasted across the massive screen in full high definition. The board members gasped. Charles turned a horrific shade of grey. But I wasn't done. I brought up a second document, the corporate embezzlement audit proving Charles used shareholder money to fund his affair with my wife. The buyers instantly stood up. The lead billionaire looked at Charles and said, "The deal is dead. We do not do business with criminals and liabilities." Charles snapped. He screamed at me, "I will fire you right now. You have nothing. Get out of my building." I calmly smiled, reached down to my laptop, and clicked the digital kill switch. Instantly, every computer screen in the entire building went black. The company's servers went offline globally. Millions of users lost access to the software. I looked at Charles and the panicked board of directors. "You can't fire me, Charles, because I don't work for you anymore. And by the way, the entire encryption code that runs your software belongs to my private LLC. If you want the password to turn the servers back on, it will cost you exactly $50 million for the intellectual property license. You have 24 hours before the system permanently deletes itself." The aftermath was absolute carnage. The board of directors immediately stripped Charles of his CEO title and sued him for corporate embezzlement. The company had to pay me $45 million in an emergency settlement just to get the password back, so they wouldn't go bankrupt. My attorney filed for divorce that same afternoon. Because I exposed Victoria's marital fraud and her conspiracy with Charles to embezzle funds, the judge completely threw out her claims. She didn't get a single penny. She was evicted from my house within 48 hours. Today, Charles is facing real prison time for corporate fraud, and Victoria is living in a miserable studio apartment, working a low-wage retail job. Meanwhile, I took my $45 million, moved to a private estate, and left the corporate world forever. They wanted to play games with my life, so I rewrote the rules.